Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing Trickshot, a game by... did my little jazz hands there. But today I'm reviewing Trickshot, a game from Wolf Designa, who is going to be the company more famously known for their game Guards of Atlantis, a fantastic game that is not the subject of this review. Trickshot, on the other hand, is going to be a hockey-themed game. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go into my 60-second overview of the game. I don't have my phone with me, so I'm going to use the camera in front of me to try to gauge how long it goes, starting now. Now, Trickshot is a game where you're trying to get the most points. It's a hockey-themed game, so like hockey, you're trying to get as many goals as you can before time runs out. Time is going to run out in the short game after a single period, or in the long game after 3 periods, just rinse and repeat across 3 times. Now, the game's going to be a push-your-luck mechanism. On your turn, you're going to go ahead and you're going to decide what action you're going to do. Maybe you're going to be moving, so this character's going to go ahead and move over here, and then I'm going to roll a single dice and see if I succeed. Look at that, I succeeded, no X's there. Then I'm going to go ahead and pass this puck down to him, so I'm going to go ahead and go for the pass. I'm going to roll 2 dice. Every time you roll, you add another die. I'm still good. Now I'm going to go ahead and move forward. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. I'm going to roll a 3rd die. Rinse and repeat, trying to take actions every single time, adding a die as you go. If you fail, you do have line changes you can rely upon to basically refresh yourself and try again, and then eventually you're going to end your turn resetting and getting prepped for the next turn. That's basically the whole game. Few other small things to note, but that's the core mechanism of Trickshot. So, that should be right about 60 seconds there. Now, so that's basically the game, like I said already. You're going to choose an action, and then you're going to roll a die taking said action. Those X's are going to be the main things you want to pay attention to, although the game can get more complicated as you start to incorporate advanced rules, such as passing to clear ice. You can pass to players, which is great. Your player's there to get the puck, or you can pass to clear ice, which is going to be a little harder and potentially result in issues even if you don't roll X's. Maybe you roll pucks, and the puck drifts a little further than you expected. There's going to be a few other things to note, such as you're going to have arena cards and line cards, which are going to give you different abilities to be, well, aware of. You're going to have different abilities in the game that will give you different things. So as you shift up your lines, maybe you have an action where you can move an extra spot before checking somebody. Maybe you can, pass through other players. There'll be different cards you can be aware of that will give you different temporary abilities in the game. But the core mechanism is choose an action, roll a die, rinse, repeat. Choose an action, roll a die, rinse, repeat. Although every single time you're adding a dice, meaning that X gets more and more likely with each subsequent, oop, that's an X over there. Now, so when you do roll an X, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and either resolve the consequences of the X. So those are going to differ depending on the action. Move actions, for instance, always will succeed, but then your turn's done. It's over if you leave that X there. Other actions may straight up fail depending on the action. We'll get to the action shortly. But past that, what you're going to do over here is if I want that action to continue, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the line. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust one of my 3 lineups. And then I'm going to roll all dice with symbols. Re-roll all dice with symbols. Ooh, that's even more brutal. And I still have symbols, so I'm going to try that again. I'm going to roll again. Please no X. This is just really not cool, so this is really not good because if I get an X now, phew. Okay, no X there, and now I have a choice. I can continue to take the next action, or I can stop. Now, if I take the next action, I'm going to be rolling 5 dice, hopefully getting the action I want, which is important. But the problem is, if I roll a single X, I don't have any more cards to refresh. So I'm going to pause, and if I pause and end my turn of my own choice, meaning I don't run out of X's and don't have a choice, then I go ahead and refresh all of these and switch up a line card. So that's the idea here. You kind of want to ensure that you end your turn on your terms. You want to ensure that you end it when it's convenient so you can refresh your lineup and getting a new card, setting yourself up so that you have the rerolls you need for next turn. Now, a few other things to note are going to be these reaction symbols over here. Whenever you roll a dice and you have these reactions, your opponent's going to get free movements towards you. So this, if I went ahead and rolled those dice, this guy can go ahead and say, I'm going to move one person here, and I'm going to move it over here like so. So they're going to get additional movements towards you, reaction movements. Maybe they move their goalie to rearrange so you don't get a clear shot on their net. As far as the actions you're taking in the game, you're going to alternate in between characters. You can never activate the same character twice in a row, which is often going to get in the way of your plans. But what you can do is you can move. So you can go ahead, like I said already, let's go ahead and go through a basic cycle of movements over here. So I'm going to go ahead and move, like so, roll the dice, potentially succeed. I'll pass the puck, which is great. Pass in a straight line. Awesome. Then I'm going to go ahead and move again. Now, I can't move him again, unfortunately. I have to move someone else. So perhaps I go ahead and go down there. 1, 2, 3, like so. Now, from there, I'm going to go ahead and pass the puck down to here. And then, let's pretend that this person had been over here. Let's pretend the goalie had been over there. Then I'm going to go ahead and try to do a slap shot on the net. Now, there are some actions in the game that will insist that you add extra dice, such as slap shots. You're going to add more dice to your slap shot the further back you are. There's going to be additional actions such as checking other players in order to actually get the puck. There's going to be, well, hitting other players where you slam into their spot, and depending on how the roll goes, you will either get the puck from them or not. There's going to be things like, well, primarily, those are going to be the primary core actions. There's going to be a few other rules such as offside or different things like that. But those are the primary actions in the game. That is the game of Trickshot. It's a game of hockey with basic movements, hockey, passing, shooting, all that stuff, and then push your luck mechanisms that result in you trying to do as much as possible before your opponent goes ahead and moves the referee, advances the time, and then goes ahead and tries to take the puck from you in order to go ahead and progress on your net, getting, well, the points there. That is overall how you play Trickshot. I think I covered mostly everything in the game. There are a lot of advanced rules to be mindful of, but I'm covering the basic idea of the game. As far as what I like about the game, Trickshot is an incredibly unique theme that is incredibly well implemented. It's true to the sport for the most part. It has a lot of aspects that make it feel like you're not playing hockey because you're rolling dice and moving little painted figures on the board. This is, by the way, the deluxe edition with the painted figures. But yeah, it's not playing hockey, but it does feel true to the sport. It does feel very much true, like they captured most of the mechanisms you'd have, and that makes it an incredibly unique experience. I've never played a game that felt quite like Trickshot. There are other sports games, but none that felt like this, at least to me. The push your luck in this game is a lot of fun. I love push your luck in general. I love the concept of just one more, and this game, the push your luck is fun, but can also be punishing. You can roll a handful of dice. There'll be times you're rolling 7, 8 dice trying, look at that, Nothing bad happened. Granted, the opponent is going to go ahead and move 2 spots towards me, which might be not the best, but overall, the more dice you roll, the more fun, but also the more risky it gets. And you are going to constantly be pushing your luck in this game, trying to advance on the enemy net, trying to set yourself up so that, sure, your opponent might be able to check you, but they have nothing good to do after that. Trying to take advantage of the fact that your opponent might be tired and they don't have their line changes fully formed. There are a lot of things you can do in this game to take advantage of those fun push your luck moments of trying to set yourself up for the win in this game. And it has amazing moments, especially when you're losing in this game, because when you're losing in this game, you're also willing to take more risks. When you're anyways behind and your options are just trading goals back and forth, you kind of want to take more risks, and that results in fun moments, slap shots across the ice that score, fun passes while you go ahead and you move up over here. Great, awesome, let's move over there. Let's go ahead and move this person here. Let's pass the puck down to here, which I couldn't activate 2 in a row, and then slap shot down there, boom. There are a lot of push your luck moments where you're trying to get that goal. You need that goal in order to catch up, and so you roll the dice 1 time more than you should. I got an X, so I have to stop there. But you roll the dice 1 time more than you should, trying to get that additional action in. This game does give you those sports moments as you rush down the ice, as you pass the puck. As you try to pass the puck to open ice, you ricochet it off the boards, you time these things. It has failure, left, right, and center, don't get me wrong, but it has fun moments as well. And then the variation in this game. The variation in this game is going to come through this giant stack of cards over here. Let's just show you how thick this thing is. This stack of cards over here with tons and tons of cards, giving you different lineups, giving you different arenas. Arenas will be different goals, different rules. Arenas will be different rules that affect the entire game. And then, depending how you play it, you can switch up back and forth between arenas, but also giving you your sets of cards. Your sets of cards that will define what your lineup is as you rotate between your different abilities. Every time you shift, you rotate back to one of your prior abilities, well, or to one of your abilities you haven't used yet, but that's going to give the variation in your game. Now, as far as things I don't like in Trickshot, there's really one thing, but it is a big thing that really hurts the experience for me, which is going to be, and this is true to the sport, this is true to hockey, and I don't have a way around it. It's thematic, it's just boring, which is in this game, multiple times in your game, whenever a goal is scored, whenever the goalie catches the puck, you're going to have an entire reset of the board. You're going to move your characters back into position, move them all back over there. You're going to roll for the puck again. You're going to roll, each player rolling dice to see who gets the puck, have a little face-off. Someone's going to get the puck, and then you'll reset and start again. The problem with that is that this game, Trickshot, is effectively a skirmish game at its core. That's what it is. It's a skirmish game. You're not trying to attack other players. You're not rolling dice to shoot them or to see if you hit them or melee, all that. You're rolling dice to see how far you can move as you position and tactically position yourself in order to ensure your opponent cannot win. The problem is most skirmish games don't have constant resets. If you're playing a full game here, like a full game, 3 periods, you may be resetting back to the same starting position 15 times. It might be 10 to 15 times in a 3-period game. That means you're constantly finding yourself trying to go through the same basic motions, because one of two things will happen. When you reset to the starting position, one of two things happens. You either go through the same ideal sequence of motions to clear the puck, to move it somewhere else to get what you need there, and it's boring because you've done it 4 or 5 times this game, or you try something new that's arguably less efficient. Now, the line change cards will help with that a little bit. You can have some line change cards that will actually open up a new viable strategy. But for the most part, it's a skirmish game with a constant reset to starting again. 10 to 15 times across a single game is a lot of resets to the same exact formation. Now, once the game shifts, once you have a player over here with the puck, and you have a player over here, and you have your person here, and by the way, the characters are different. They have different stats as far as what they do. As soon as you have a different board setup, everything changes. And this board may be a unique position I have never seen before in the game. The amount of potential variable possibilities you have with the way players are on the board is huge. But then every few minutes, you reset to the same starting thing. It is thematically accurate. It's a solid adaptation to a hockey sport, as you do reset. And yet, I find it a fairly boring reset to something that I need to get out of every single time. It means that maybe a fifth of the time I'm playing Trickshot, I'm trying to get out of a standard formation in the game. As far as what I can see, others not liking, there's going to be a few more things. None of these were issues for me, but to begin with, the short game can be too short and the long game can be too long. That short game, a single period, might feel like you don't have enough time to do things, but a long game, depending on how AP the players are, how analysis paralysis prone, how much they think about their turns, a long game can run 2 hours plus, which can be a little long for a 2-player game. Now, you absolutely can have a shorter, long game. It just will depend on the players and how much you think through your tactical positioning in this game. This is a game where you can straight up fall behind. It's hockey. There's no real catch-up mechanics. You have your scoreboard, and then you proceed to get points, and your opponent gets 3 goals before you get any, and now the entire game you're playing catch-up. The only catch-up mechanic they have is the idea that as the losing player, you might be willing to take more risks that could pay off or further drift you behind. Now, for me, that's not a problem because for me, I enjoy the tactical nature of Trickshot. I enjoy those moments where I try for something cool and fail or succeed as all works out for me. I enjoy the gameplay above all. The winning is not the factor. But for players who don't like being stuck behind, this is a game where you absolutely can find yourself 3 goals behind and then spending the next hour just playing catch-up if that's not a thing for you. Past that, this is a game where there's going to be rolling dice. You can't get around that. This is rolling dice. It's a lot of rolling dice. It means you'll have rolls where 3 rolls in a row. Look at that. There's just no X's for me. And then your opponent will roll a dice and they'll... Let me just go ahead and look at that. Boom. A single die, a single X. There is going to be luck in this game. Luck that will be present where you get a single X 3 times in a row, and then your opponent gets to roll 7 dice with not a single X showing its face. It will happen during your games that you'll see that imbalance. Now, ideally, across the whole, it averages out, but you will have imbalance in your rolls because it is a dice rolling game, which will result in those moments here and there. And then lastly, the push your luck mechanics. I said this game is thematically accurate, and for the most part it is, but push your luck, from what I can see, has nothing really to do with hockey. Doesn't bother me at all. I like the mechanic of it, but if you're looking for that real mechanical fit, for the most part this game will feel accurate, but that push your luck mechanic doesn't really have anything there. As far as my final thoughts on Trickshot, I keep wanting to say Trick Up, I don't know why. As far as my final thoughts on Trickshot, Trickshot is a game that is a 4 out of 5 for me. My rating scale is in the description down below, but a 4 to me is a really solid game, one that I really enjoy and I'm almost always adding to my collection. Trickshot is very unique in the gameplay experience it brings. Now, it is a 2-player game that runs a little long, which for me does mean that those games tend to see play a little less frequently. But this is a game that is incredibly unique in what it's doing. It has push your luck combined with skirmish in a unique theme that I don't otherwise have in my collection. This is one that I can easily recommend to anyone who's a hockey fan, who's looking for a hockey-themed game, and more than that, I'd recommend it to people who don't particularly care for hockey either, with a caveat. I'm not someone who is a fan of hockey. So I'm not the target audience for someone who loves hockey or anything like that, but I do know the rules of hockey. I can't speak for whether this game is interesting or fun or well done for someone who doesn't even know how hockey plays. if you know how hockey plays, that basic, you don't have to be a huge fan. Again, I'm not a huge fan of hockey, but I do like this game. The aspect of passing, of moving, of running down the ice, of checking other players, of risking that penalty because it's worth it, of pulling your goalie. You can pull your goalie if or when you need to, leaving an empty net, but having another player on the ice to block your opponent. It feels like a fun time. Trickshot's a game from Wolf Designa that I can easily recommend, all things considered. I hate ending a review like that, all things considered. It just sounds off. Trickshot is a game from Wolf Designa that I can easily recommend to anyone who even knows about hockey. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.